Hello, YouTube. Welcome to my channel, Marriage, Politics, and Sports. We're on the swivel at the sports bar. Welcome aboard. We're going to talk sports today. We're kind of probably going to take around an hour or so. I got a few things I have written down. So just join the crowd. If you have some comments, feel free. Put it in the chat. If you want to come up, just got to show me who you are. And we all chop it up on some questions. I don't have too many controversial things today, but there were some events that happened last week that we should talk about. So let's get started. All right. Let's get started. All right. Oh, man, things behind. There's a delay. All right. Let's get started. Again, I say, hey, I really meant he. I meant, hey. Okay, let's do this right. I said he, but have you noticed less complaints about the NBA stars sitting out nationally televised games? That was a question. I mean, a couple of years ago, all the way up until last year, they had the best players sitting out what they call load management, and the NBA came back and said, "Listen, we can't have you guys sitting out, willy nilly." So they upped the penalties. They had penalties before, but they got more serious about them now. So there's 100K for the first infraction, 250K for the second, and a whopping 1 million for the third and beyond. So if a guy can play, he's going to be out there. There's been a lot less complaints this year from people saying, "Hey, you know what? These guys are sitting out on some of the best games." A lot of the stars would sit out. They would go to they only play maybe once or twice in the city, maybe once in some cities, and the stars wouldn't show up, but the prices of the tickets would be the same as if they were playing. So that was never fair, So now the commissioner said, "Hey, we can't have that. We can't have that. We got to have some people actually actually playing games. If you're not hurt, get your ass in the game." I agree with that. So we don't have much to say about that. That's straightforward. All right. There's some other crazy stuff going in the NBA too. Kind of NBA adjacent. There's a story of a 19-year-old girl, young lady, Shikari Harden. She convinces her 27-year-old NBA G League player, his name is Chance Comanche, to delete a woman in Vegas. The victim is Marina Rogers, and it was a revenge situation because they were all mixed up in a lot of stuff. So this guy is trying to make his life out in the NBA, but he's still doing stupid things, and he gets convinced to be a part of a deletion scheme. Can you believe that? How could you be so stupid? Now, from what I understand, he's not that bad of a player, but here you have it. He's still dumb, and they're both being charged with first-degree deletion, and they're going to jail. As simple as that. They had text messages pretty much talking about how they want to do it and when they want to do it. And how could people be so stupid? They tried to get a third party to be involved, but I guess he might have snitched, but he didn't get involved. But he probably told, but they got text messages and everything. And so they're going down. So, and rightfully so. The next topic I want to talk about, and like I said, this is not going to be that long. I got a few topics I want to talk about. This one kind of bothers me a lot. right? Is the constant beratement of Zion Williamson consistent with bullying? I mean, everybody knows he has a weight problem. Okay. I mean, the guy's big. He's never going to be skinny. He's never going to be skinny. He could be in better shape, but he's never going to be skinny. So I don't know, what people are looking for from this guy. Uh, Now, for right now, up until the point, he's averaging 24 points a game, 5.9 rebounds, 4.9 assists, 1.1 steals. He's playing 31.9 minutes a game. He's played 25 of the 31 games they played this year. And I don't think that's unusual, right? And the team's in seventh place. Now, let's just say he's in tip-top shape. What do you think his stat line would be? Right? Is it going to go up by 10 points in every area? You know what I'm saying? I don't know what people want. So when you see these analysts like Stephen A. Smith or all the guys on FS1 or all the analysts, all they talk about is how fat this guy is. Now, men, if you're fat and overweight, you're going to get it, right? Nobody cares about your feelings. Okay, I can dig that. But there's no way, if there was a WNBA player who was a moose, there is no way that they would be talking about how fat she is, right? Nobody wants to talk about how fat women are. And I'm not just comparing the fat to women. The reason why they don't do it is because there actually is some reason to not shame people like that. So just in case just because this guy's a man, excuse me, they think they could just consistently pound on him for his weight. I mean, what's the weight they think he should be at? That's what I don't know. And they even have their team that they said is allegedly thinking about canceling his contract next year if he doesn't hit those weight requirements, which should have never been in his contract. So nobody actually looks at his numbers. So when I see these sports shows, Stephen A, anybody, nobody says, well, let me look at his stat line. And what do I think would improve if he was, in tip-top shape? Would it be scoring 35 points a game? With all the rest of the scorers on his team, it's not going to be that high. He hasn't been out hurt this year. Maybe he could get more rebounds. Maybe that should be more like 8 rebounds a game. He's not supposed to be an assist man, so maybe 4.9 is cool. And the fact that he steals the ball means he's around enough to steal a ball once in a while. So he's astute on the floor playing defense. And he's playing 31 minutes. Should that be 35 minutes? Should that be 40 minutes? What should that be? If he was in tip-top shape, what should his stat line look like? And why is his stat line being discounted right now? Right? I mean, if anybody else had a stat line like this, nobody would be talking about how bad he is, right? How fat he is. It's just because it's Zion Williamson. So they started this narrative, and they can't get past it. They really can't. So I just think it's unfair. He's a big boy, but I'm thinking it's got to be weighing on him. I bet you he might be like closet eating now because he can't eat in front of other people. And if he's closet eating, that means he's going to be eating more than usual because he might be too embarrassed to eat in front of everybody else. So I just think this is a big, huge mistake on what's going on with him. Well, enough of that. All right, let's move it over to Steph Curry. We're still in the NBA. I'm moving over to Steph Curry. Steph Curry, man, he's on tap to sign a lifetime contract with Under Armour worth $1 billion. He's making $215 million now, but they want to renew him up, I think, next year or the year after. So a lifetime contract means well after he's, of course, finished playing, he's still going to represent the company, and it'll be worth $1 billion. And the fact is, I think since they signed him, they've gone up to like $14 billion worth of sales or something like that, or revenues. So Steph, he's just making it happen all the way on the court, making it happen off the court. Hey, the guy's a babyface assassin, and more power to him. So now how many more athletes do we know that are marketing themselves to become billionaires even while they're still playing? Even while they're still playing, you know, that was unheard of years ago. So especially in basketball, baseball, your popularity can get you a lot of places. I believe LeBron passed the billion dollar mark, and it seems like he's not really letting up. He can't carry a team like he used to, but he is still one of the best players in the NBA. Nobody could deny that. What else, Scott? Looks like the Lakers, after they won the in-season championship, I guess they might have celebrated a little bit more than they should have. And they went on a little losing streak. But now, they're back at 16 and 15. They're still in the playoff hunt, so I don't know. I mean, if they just stand pat throughout the year, they should be all right. They should be all right. Um, okay. Okay. Now, this is one that we could talk about. I'm interested in this one. The simple reason why young, rich athletes lack discernment when it comes to women. That's the easy one. It's just in their nature. I can see these guys when they're broke, idolizing those pictures, those IG models, and wondering, if they could ever get one. And as soon as they get money, they said, well, shoot, I can get one now. I could just pay for it. And one way or the other, that's what they're doing. The problem is, and this is where the discernment comes in, you can lust after these women, but you're not supposed to impregnate them. You're not supposed to just willy-nilly give a seed out to anybody. And this is where these guys get hurt. I mean, for example, Zion Williamson had a porn star coming after him, and she was posting so bad on Twitter that they had to ban her because she was saying so many things. Uh, you know, my man Anthony, this guy, he was Edwards. This guy had this chick all pissed off because he gave 100 grand to go delete a baby, and it's not clear whether she ever was pregnant. It's not clear if she actually got rid of it. The only thing is clear is that she took the 100 grand. And the fact is, she put them on blast. She put all those private messages on blast, which should be illegal, or if not illegal, he has a civil case because that was private information and she had no right to share it. So I think there's a case to be made, and that's consistent with the revenge porn laws. I bet you there's a way that a good lawyer could make a charge stick based on the premise that you put out information to shame, insult, hurt, or destroy somebody, uh, whether it's a naked picture or a real private tweet. I don't see what the difference is if the intent was to destroy and hurt somebody. And he won't do that because men don't come after women that way. But I think we should, just to send a message. But so he paid 100 grand, and it's still more to come on that story. Maybe she thought she would be doing like a Paul George kind of situation because he had gotten the same situation with his girl who was a stripper. Now you got all this money, you got all this thing, so you couldn't find a woman to fall in love with, so you pick a stripper to do it with, right? And he offered her a certain amount. I heard it might have been $1 million, and she said, "No, you're my bag, and I'm gonna keep this bag in the long term. I'm gonna get more than $1 million out of you." And but he ended up, they ended up just going together. I think they're married, and they have another kid now. So you know what? People change, I guess. And then, or he just dodged a bullet. Hey, but their marriage is still young, so more to come, on that one. So, but he has two kids with that woman, and so for him, maybe he's happy. Probably wouldn't be the best way to get together, but he's happy. So, yeah, men's nature is to desire sex from women, no matter how much money you have. If you're a heterosexual man, that's what you want. Women know this. Women understand that you're predictable and they can manipulate you. And it's not going to change no matter how much we scream dick discipline and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't stop a male nature. The only thing that stops a male nature is the individual man getting to the level of discernment where he could turn down a bad, a willing piece of trim and move on because having sex with a woman at that particular woman at that particular time, it won't be the best thing for him. And very few men uh, between the age of 18 and 30 have that kind of discernment. Turns out, even over 30, there's enough men who don't have that discernment either. Like like Bill Clinton or Ime Udoka, and countless other guys who fall off the cliff. Because they can't control themselves. So anyway, they need to read Napoleon Hill, The Law of Sexual Transmutation. That might help them. All right, so that's it. It's not really no rocket science. Guys are just being guys, and really sometimes it's just as simple as that. And women don't like that answer. Men might not like that answer, but that answer has probably been the same answer since the beginning of man. All right, so let's switch over to the NFL a little bit. I don't have a lot to say here. Al Michaels, I found out he lost his NFL job. Uh, he lost his NFL job uh, because people were speculating he lost it because he said something bad about Taylor Swift, you know, and that could be true. I mean, NFL likes showing her at games. There's a whole bunch of Swifties out there, and the NFL likes to get as many people watching their product. And it's just because they pan and show Taylor Swift every so often, you know. Um, I don't know whether he needs this. He needs to make a big issue out of it, but he's an old head, you know. He's an old head, and so that what happened. So he can't do the NFL playoffs no more. I think he lost that job, and yeah, well, so goes. He'll be all right. He's an old dude anyway. He'll be fine. All right, here's another one for all of you guys. Ain't nobody talking to me today, but I'm talking. Who's on your Mount Rushmore of wide receivers? This came up earlier this week too. Who's on the Mount Rushmore of wide receivers? This went back and forth all week. Everybody has their picks. It's hard to put four men up there, but I picked Rice, Morse, Owens, and Johnson. And some people have some other folks on there. Carter. Uh, if you go back a few years, Steve Largent, he was a great wide receiver. He might not have the speed, but he had hands. We didn't put any of the new guys up there. I guess they haven't played. Some people have Fitzgerald on here. I don't know if he's in the top four. Some people have. I mean, there's so many great receivers that have been out there. It's hard to you pick. Who you going to take off if it's not Rice, Moss, Owens, Johnson. Who you going to take off and who you going to put in? And we put Rice first because his numbers are first, but not only because he played on legendary teams with legendary quarterbacks. So we know that helps. Big game. So we're moving on to the next thing. We're moving on to the big game that came on Christmas Day, Monday Night Football. Dun, 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 the Ravens against the 49ers. I had the Ravens. I didn't know it would have been such a blowout. Don't get fooled by the 33-19 score. That last touchdown came late. Matter of fact, that last touchdown not only came late, but it kicked me out of my fans. It lost me my fantasy win. So, you get a win and you lose something. But the Ravens look good, but I'm not enamored with the bye week. If they played Miami next week, and if Miami beats them, and even if they have the same record, Miami has a tiebreaker over them. So if they want to finish first, they gotta win out. They gotta win. They gotta beat Miami next week, and then they gotta win the game after that. So I don't know whether beating Miami will change the tiebreaker. So if they lost the last game and Miami won their last game, I'm not sure whether that means, because since they beat them head to head, I think they should still have the number one seed sewn up. But I don't like that bye week in the playoffs, man. I really don't. I know, people want to say, well, you want to rest people up and all that kind of stuff. But what about momentum? You got 2 weeks off, and the team you played just came out of a week of hell, a week of battle. And now they're coming with you fresh. They've been on the field, and you're 2 weeks out. You had a week to cool off, and you're not really healing anymore because it's 2 weeks. I mean, if you needed weeks to heal, then you probably shouldn't be playing. So I don't like that damn bye week. Even though it's only 2 games from going to the Super Bowl, I'd rather play 3 games and win them all. That's the way I see it. But that's just me. But the Ravens have a good chance to go into the Super Bowl. Now, we saw them beat the hell out of the 49ers. If they played them again, I do not think it would be as easy. But, I don't know if I changed my formula, because they beat them kind of handily, especially Purdy was exposed, right? Did he lose his saintly position for the MVP by throwing 4 picks? I don't know, but it certainly makes his numbers look a lot worse, and so does the loss. So I think we should look at that. Is he an MVP, especially over McCaffrey, who had a decent game, but he couldn't pull it through for me because he was my last player. Unfortunately, the other 2 players I was playing against was Kittles and Anyuk, whatever his name is, the receiver, Anyuk. So both of those guys combined, man, I didn't have a chance. Excuse me. So it was a good game. And when NFL gives up a good game, you got to say it. Plus, when your team wins, it's always a good game. All right, the current NFL picture, NFL playoff picture, right? We need to look at that. Right now, the Ravens are number 1 in the AFC. Of course, San Francisco is still number 1 in the NFC. But there were some changes from last week. So Miami will be playing. Houston is a surprise team to even be considered in the playoffs, but there they are. Kansas City against Baltimore. I don't know. The Jacksonville Jaguars are hanging on by a thread. The Browns might beat those guys. Philly and the Buccaneers. Philly has kind of lost a little bit of stride. I think Detroit should be able to beat Minnesota if they had to play. At Dallas and the LA Chargers, I don't know about that game. But anyway, this is how it looks this week. So it's not the end. I expect this to change after next week. And it will. It will. Things will shuffle around because some of these games are still critical. And so, hey, it's good to look at the picture the way it is right now. So it's interesting. So I'm going to keep coming back with this one. All right. What else do we have? We had a little boxing go on. there was a boxing match. I think it was in Dubai. Anthony Joshua and Otto Wallen and Deontay Wilder against Joseph Parker. That game, Wilder fought first, and this guy Parker won a unanimous decision uh, over Deontay Wilder. He pitched a shutout. He won every round. He beat him. He beat him senseless around the ring. He almost knocked him out in the eighth round. Wilder is just not a good boxer. And so if you get a guy who knows how to box, they could beat him, right? Because all he does is swing wildly, and his punches are looping punches. And, people get out of the way of those damn things. You don't have no skill at all. So he would never, So then Joshua came back after that fight, and he dusted off his opponent in 5 rounds. Now Anthony Joshua was a much better boxer than Deontay Wilder. Most guys are. So, and then Wilder came back and said, the only reason why Joshua won is because he saw how bad he fought. So he knows that if I would have won, he would lose on purpose because he doesn't want to fight me. It's delusion. Delusion at its height. Anthony Joshua, who knows what goes on in his head, but I don't think he's that interested in boxing. Not really, but he can't resist the money he can make. And so that's why he's doing it. But he damn sure doesn't like boxing. But he's not that bad, but he's never going to be mistaken for a superstar. Never. So that's that. So that's that. There were some other fights, but that was the one I was interested in. Those two. Okay, the Dodgers signed Yamamoto on, right, a pitcher. So now they got Shohei Ohtani and this guy. So they're paying 2 guys over $1 billion. Combined salaries, and they could afford it because $1 billion is like candy to the Dodgers ownership team. So, and there's no like salary cap, I don't believe so in baseball. So they got 2 guys. They're both from Japan. So not only Ohtani has somebody in the locker room he could converse with, besides an interpreter, he got a teammate, probably a person he already knows pretty well. And these guys are going to clean up they're going to clean up in Major League Baseball. They just do. So like I said, this was going to be a quick sports show for me today. I'm a little under the weather, so I thought I'd, pop in, say a few things. What else do we have? Well, that was it. That was my last topic for today. I did find out, though, that I believe that Russell Wilson is going to get benched after this last game he lost. So him and the coach they didn't see eye to eye from the beginning. The things that the coach wanted from him, Russell wasn't delivering. These guys are underachieving, and I believe they're eliminated anyway from the playoff picture. I got to look at that. I think so. So what can you say? So the coach ain't pleased, and he doesn't want to come back next year with Russell Wilson. That's for sure. Now I don't know where that means. Where Russell will go. It's hard to say that he doesn't belong on a team. But he had he was up and down all year. So let me see. Yeah, Denver's nowhere in the picture here. So I don't know if they're on the bubble or not, but they're not in the picture. So I believe that they're not, even in contention. I think they're out. I think they've been eliminated. I'm not sure. I got to look that up. Anyhow, so that's some latest news before I leave about these guys. So, so that's my little short stint on the swivel at the sports bar. I'm got to go back and try to get this head cold going. That's just the way it is. But until next time, like I said, every Wednesday, I'm going to be here doing this, right, at 6 o'clock. I'll put up different topics. And I'll, a couple of guys, everybody's on their Christmas break, they're here and there. I'll have a few guys up and we'll be talking and chopping it up. But until then, I'll be chopping up by myself. That's cool. I could do that. And I'll go through these, as I get better with this, I expect this thing to stick and I'll grow it. That's the way it is. Until next time, our pain on the swivel at the sports bar. Over and out.